Welcome, 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 and thank you for joining us on this journey. We are building a tribe of people that are resilient and people that are confident and people that are chasing after their dreams, people that are pursuing their passion and people that are earning out of their passions, okay? And that is why we talk about confidence. So we have Fatuma here, and Fatuma was talking about her issue of feeling stuck and the reason as to why she feels stuck. This was a segment that we were talking about, where are you stuck? It's a confident called Where Are You Stuck? And she said, I am stuck because I lack confidence, and I am stuck because I just don't know how to express myself. So you realize that she knows that she doesn't know how to express herself, and expression could be speaking, expression could be how she shows up, how she puts on, expression could be how she fights for herself, how she fends for herself. Expression can mean so many things. So she's saying, I am stuck. And she knows that the core of her being stuck is the lack of confidence. Remember, we said that confidence has the self-awareness, it has the trust, and then it has the expression. And then we talked about the character traits, okay? So you realize that it's possible that Fatuma here does not have a foundation of the character traits, that she knows that this is who I am known for this, okay? So you realize that for as long as that she doesn't have that foundation that we have talked about, of knowing that this is who I am, because expression comes from you knowing. You cannot express something that you don't know. You have to have the certainty, the trust inside of you that what you are expressing is what you are supposed to express. So you feel comfortable. And for some of us, it becomes a second nature, that we don't have to think about it. At first, when you're building, you realize you really have to think about it. And you have to be intentional about it. But while you build, after some time, you have established a set of values, then you don't really have to think about them, because top of mind awareness, you know that this is who you are. You know that you are a Christian. You know that you are a mother. You know that you are a helper, destiny helper. You know exactly who you are. So the self-awareness smoothens the way for confidence to be able to be displayed. Because what is confidence? You can say, I'm confidence inside. Inside, I am confidence. No, confidence must be seen, okay? It must really, really, really be seen. So apart from the character traits, having the positive people and the confident people in your lives, you realize the confident person, when you see them do something, you'll also, and I see this with my children all the time. Ariel was the kind that used to be quite very calculative and not just forthgoing to do certain things. Ariella does not think twice. I will do it, whether I fail, whether it does not work out, whether I don't think about it. And I think you've seen such people in life. So she will be the go-getter to bump into things. And so before I knew it, I would see Ariel do the same thing without the calculative him, because he would stand aside, look at what the sister was doing, and after the sister succeeds, that's when she will join the sister. But all of a sudden, I would see that, okay, she's trying to do this, she's also at a point B, trying to do the same thing, not calculating the risks involved, whether she's going to fail or he's not going to fail. I was like, okay, sometimes when you have a go-getter in your life, you also learn to be a go-getter. Because sometimes you think, what would so-and-so do? Because maybe this person has overshadowed you for some time, or they have mentored you for some time without even speaking. And you ask yourself, because sometimes our mentors' voices or leaders' voices or the people in our lives, their voices speak louder when we get in certain capacities. So if you have a coward in your life, this is what happens. When you're about to take a step, the coward's voice comes into your mind. Like, what if you fail? What if, what will people see? So you start having all those, and then now you have more battles to fight. The only battle that you had to fight was to conquer the fear that you had. But now you have your own fear, and you're carrying another person's fear, and another person's cowardice, and another person's, and so it becomes so heavy for you to carry. So that means by being with confident people and people that are more solution-oriented, that are saying, try it and fail and try it again, you realize that you will have no room to fail. Because every time you're about to do something, you will say, what would so-and-so have said? What would they have done? Okay? And then you will take the leap of faith. And before you know it, you are succeeding. And then you're like, wow, I'm glad I actually took this decision, because if it were in my power, maybe I would have been a coward and I would have stayed the same. Okay, I remember when I was about to go back to school to enroll, I've always told you that I did everything late. So, I mean, I go through life and I have to go to campus, I don't have the money, and all of a sudden I come back later. While others are 19, I am 29 and I am coming back. But I remember that while I sat down and I thought that, you know what, I really, really need this, I remember that I had Tim's voice in my life. Because I was like, you know what? I think you really need to go back. And in my life, I was like, is that even a possibility? And I was like, okay, I looked at all the good things that I want, but I had a voice that tells me that, you know what? It is very possible. You can go, you can conquer, and you can actually do well. And I was like, okay, there is someone that believes in me. So you realize we need those pillars in our lives of people that believe in us. So Fatuma, I hope that you are watching this, because we are dissecting your question. We are talking about your question, how to build the confidence so that you can get from a place of being stuck to a place where you can trust and express yourself so well, okay? And unveiling your zone of genius, I want you to know that is why I have the mentorship. The mentorship is not only for the coaches. There's a mentorship for the coaches for coaching and speaking, but I have a general mentorship that I recently opened. It's called Mentor Me. If you are the kind that believes in 1 year you can make a huge difference and a turnaround in your life, and you need a guide on the side, that means that we activate what you already want, okay? We draw a picture of what you want, the goals that you have set for yourself, and we say, in 1 year, how much can we move? How much distance can we cover? And most of the people that have come for the Mentor Me session or the mentorship cluster is confidence. They're like, you know what, I need to build confidence. And then I'm like, no, confidence is not built in isolation. Confidence is built with the things that you want to do. So let's find out, what do you want to achieve? Where do you want to go? Let's create the awareness, let's create the trust, and let's create the expression. And before you know it, you're on the trajectory of winning in your life. The other thing that I've always done in my life is speaking with confidence. You know, when you utter out something, there's a power that you draw through the words that you speak. When you speak from a place of, I am so sure. And I think my confidence mostly has come from me leaning onto the higher power, the God that I know that is all-knowing and is all-able, and, you know, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So when I draw power and strength from that and I speak of them, of myself, I'm like, you know what, I'm going to do it and I'm going to succeed. For everything that I've done, even if it's writing the books, even if it's opening up or whatever mentorships, I'm like, you know what, I'm going to do this and it's going to thrive. And sometimes I don't need the validation of other people to tell me it's going to work. No, I'm going ahead to start because I spoke about it in faith, and I go ahead and start it, and I keep patching it and building it along the way. So you realize that there is a lot of power in your tongue. There is a lot of power when you speak out something, when you say, I am going to do this. I remember when I used to share who I would be with the people, you know, our small church, somewhere where I in Chugunga, where I go, that is in Mokono. It's a small church, small village church. And until now, that is where I feel comfortable. I'm not comfortable anywhere else. So I used to stand on that same platform through secondary school, through even my detour into business, through campus. And I would tell them that, you know what, I'm going to write books. I'm going to be on TV. Because I felt there's something bubbling inside of me. There's something I need to give. You know, there's a journey I must take, and that journey is not going to be alone. It's going to be with a group of people that also believe in personal growth, that want to be better in life, that want to be successful. So I would tell them all these things. And after some time, I would sit down and I would be like, maybe I'm just a wiseacre. Maybe I'm just, but again, I spoke powerfully. And I told people, I'm not just going to be Uganda, speaking in Uganda, no, global, you know. I'm going to do things Now, I had never seen my mother do those things. I had never seen my father do those things. I had never seen anyone do those things. But inside of me, I knew there was a me that needed to come out, and I spoke. And after so many years, I remember one of the elders in church reminded me, and you know, she was very sarcastic while she was saying it. It's like, but did you know that these things will come to pass? And I was like, I didn't have the proof, but I spoke anyway. I didn't have the proof because I didn't know where people go to if they wanted to print books. I didn't know. I've never seen anyone author a book in my life, in my personal circles. I had never seen anyone write articles in magazines. I had never seen anyone take a microphone and stand and talk about personal growth, because what I had grown up in was really the gospel. And I felt that there was something, the gospel is good, but spirituality minus personal growth, there was something not good about that. And so I sought so much to be able to bring these two together. And while I said, okay, yes, I know that in my circles, only gospel, only preaching, only, you know, the spiritual bit of it, but I want to be able to bring in the personal growth aspect. So you realize I didn't know how these things were going to add up, but I spoke in power. Now, some of us feel something inside of us. Some of you even fear, you're like, I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to be the greatest photographer in this world. And then we're in a world that is being saturated. Every industry, everything is saturated in sales, in photography, in filmmaking, in presenting. Like, clearly, there are thousands. It's not like back then where you'd feel there are a handful of people that are doing one thing. Right now, there are millions of people doing the same thing. So the markets seem saturated. But again, I will tell you, if you look at the saturation of the world and you fail to trust yourself to express yourself where you are, that is where the self-esteem is just not adding up. And that is where the confidence is not adding up. And that is where it's going to be so hard for you to penetrate, or so hard for you to even thrive and flourish in that particular industry. So sometimes you just need to speak about yourself and say, you know what, and let the people around you say you're wiseacre. Let the people around you say you're daydreaming. Let the people around you, okay? But there is a way speaking gets you into certain places, because when you utter certain things and you know, I can do this. And before you know it, you're invited to do that very thing. And before you know it, I declared myself to be a public speaker before I was a public speaker. And I don't know what public speaking is anymore, because I believe I'm just a speaker. I don't know where the word public comes, but, you know, but I know we love calling it public speaking. But I would say, you know, I'm a speaker. And I remember sometimes being given platforms to speak. And then I'll be like, what exactly am I going to talk? I talked about being a public speaker. And now there is a demand that has been placed on me. And now I don't know what I am going to be to speak. And all of a sudden, I am plunging in the world of sitting down to think about whatever topic I've been given. And I'm asking people, because how I actually do it, most times my research is made through other people, what they're going through, how they understand the subject matter. So I would ask people, and then I would sit down, draw from my personal experiences, and then you go speak somewhere and someone is like, oh my God, my life is changed. And I'm like, your life is changed? I didn't know what I was going to talk about. So you realize that some capacities are built over time. It's not that you were born to know everything. You're not going to know everything. But get in there, speak with faith, okay? Speak with confidence, but go ahead and get the competence. And that is where I want us to actually go into the competence, okay? It's not enough for you to speak with confidence. It's not enough for you to utter words of faith. No. While you speak those things, go down and get the skill. It's not about the strength, it's about the strategy. It's not about just the coping and fumbling around. It's about the competence, the skill set that you get. And you're like, okay, this is what I want to do. Yes, I've felt that I am very passionate about tailoring. So I'm just not going to sit on a sewing machine and then I start fumbling with things. Can I be able to enroll for a certificate, a beginner certificate? Can I start with children's clothes? Can I start with, you know, then go to trousers, go to dresses, go. Before you know it, I am doing wedding gowns. I am doing some of the people that are doing these amazing things when they tell you, like, for example, in our market, we have Anita. And there's so many people that are praising her work and the gowns that are selling globally. But where did she start? She says she was in a corridor at Mabirizi complex. And that is where she started. And after acquiring, by the way, a degree in what I don't know, it should have been in commerce or something like that if I had so well. And she comes back and she says, but this is my passion. I learned how to sew, I know. So let me sit down with these, you know, those sewing machines where you have to step and they're manual, they're not electrical. And she's seated in a corridor and she's sweating her life out. And she's saying, you know what, after getting the competence, yes, I was taught the skills, there is practice. Okay? So, because confidence is not giving us half-baked things. It's, yes, you showing up in the process of formation, but do not settle for the formation. Settle for the genius. Settle for the knowledge that you've already acquired. So if you say, okay, I have already acquired the competence, the skill minus practice is a dead skill because you have to put it to use. And there has to be a continuation because while you continuously practice, you will discover these different ways. You will tweak. For example, when you go to school to learn to bake, when you go to school to learn catering, you realize that, yes, you are learning whatever wisdom is being passed on to you. So when you come out and practice, you realize that you are going to do it your own way. You're going to learn that, okay, not necessarily do I have to put in onions before the garlic. I can put in the garlic before the onions. I can have my own recipe. I can tweak it. Instead of just salt, I can make an addition, a slight addition, and I can add in a bit of sugar, you know, just a pinch of sugar, just to give it a different taste. I can be able to bake it, you know, I can be able to do it differently. So you realize that in order for you to get to the capacity of the people that you think are so confident, it's because they have failed so many times, it's because they have practiced so many times, it's because they acquired the skill, it's because they are close to people that are confident and are encouraging their confidence, because let me tell you, a confident person will always require of you and even push you into confidence. So you realize that the same people that if you're around confident people, they have a set of values. So that means now they're also clear, very clear. They are self-aware. So that means you're also going to learn about that. And you're not going to say, he's self-aware, so I'm also going to be self-aware. No, sometimes we just copy what they are doing. We imitate what they are doing. And imitation is not bad. Imitation is not bad, but do not die imitating. The first part could be imitating, and you're like, okay, I see a good thing they are doing. I'm going to copy that and do it and see whether it works for me. And sometimes we don't know that what we are copying are the character traits. What we are copying are the values that they have set for themselves. So you get to know that, okay, in order for a man to succeed, must leave everything, all the jokes and the flirtations around, and they must stick to one wife, because I've seen my mentor or the person that I admire has stuck to one wife and things have worked out. Before you know it, you are copying a good trait. You are copying a good value of being faithful, of being resilient, of being patient. Before you know it, you're like, okay, this person has stuck in their line of operation for more than 20 years. So you're also copying and imitating, and you're saying, you know what, I'm not going to do left, right, and center. I'm not going to jump onto a new thing every day. If I've discovered that this is where I am very passionate about, I'm going to stick to this one thing. Whether it fails, whether it has good seasons and bad seasons, I'm going to stick at it, and I'm going to make sure that I get to the zone of genius. So you realize that sometimes we imitate. Sometimes even the confidence is imitated. Have you ever walked with a clique of people? They enter a certain place and you feel like you don't belong, you don't feel like you're fitting in, but because the people that you're working with, my friend, they are, you know, they are used to everything there. You also find yourself, you know, copying and mimicking. Have you seen people seated down on the table and you see, hey, there is a small knife somewhere and a small fork that doesn't seem like to be the fork that they used to eat. And then you're like, now, what this fork for? And before you know it, you're like, let me wait for other people to eat, and I see. So before you know it, there is someone else that is using it for dessert, and someone else is using it for, and then you also do the same thing. You're like, sija kufira mu movie, no. I am going. So before you know it, You are creating a confidence in yourself, because the next time you're invited somewhere on a dinner table, you will know, because when you see that people are not putting their hands on the table, then you'll be like, when you go etiquette, there are people who are self-taught. There are people who build and amass confidence because of watching and saying, that's a good thing, let me also put it into practice. Before you know it, they sound eloquent. Eloquent is not just in speech. Eloquent is also in character. Eloquence is also in how we show up. So before you know it, they're showing up like the diva. They are showing up that the queens, that the kings themselves, not because they have it all figured out, but because they have copied one or two things, and they have copied the good things from good people, and now they feel like, you know what, I trust myself that if I show up in this scenario, I'm not going to shame myself. Now I can be able to express myself. You know, has someone ever spoken before you? You're called somewhere to speak, and now you don't know, how am I going to patch up these words? What comes first and what comes next? So you're like, it's good they've called another person in front of me. So someone goes and they introduce themselves, and they observe all the protocol, and then while you are taking notes in your head, because you're like, now if I am called to speak, now I know I have to observe the protocol, I have to thank people, I have to do this. Like, it takes away, in Luganda we call it echiugwe. You know, because right now there's a bit of a formula that you have copied from someone that you're also going to apply. So when you apply it, you're not ashamed. Before you know it, you're starting to reproduce it, okay? And before you know, you practice, and people are like, wow, he acts like a dignitary, you know? And he acts with compassionate, and he sounds like he's firm in his beliefs. You were faking it. But someone else is reading something else. Why? Because we can never be perfect all of a sudden. We build the confidence over time. So you realize that you have what it takes. You have what it takes. None of the things I've talked about, Fatuma, none of the things I've talked about are new. None of the things are out of your reach. Character is inside of you. And you can cultivate more character traits, better character traits. The people around you, never let your friends choose you. Always choose your friends. Because whoever is choosing you for their own reasons. So when you're choosing friends, become selfish. Make sure that you are choosing and you're saying, I'm choosing so-and-so because this is the value that they add to me, and this is the value that I can add to them, you know? And, you know, this person does this. This one is a strong pillar in my life. You know, the spiritual bit of it is very catered for whenever I have this person in my life. So you realize, never let your friends choose you. No. Choose your friends, and you cannot have so many friends. So that means that even if you have one or two, let those be people that are strong pillars, even when it comes to the confidence, because that's going to take you along. Where there are people that have gotten deals because they are confident, and maybe one person is more informed. Just look at plumbers or engineers. One person has read books, they have everything, they know all their formulas, they even know how to, by the way, to produce, but the person that comes and has confidence and is eloquent, and they trust themselves, they express themselves, takes the deal. While the person that knows how to deliver. Now, usually, the world is not fair. The person with confidence will get the deal, and they will come and employ the person that went to school for it. They will come and employ the engineer, and guess what? They will give the engineer peanuts. Why? Because they don't have the confidence, and their self-esteem is too low. They cannot express themselves, and they cannot. A person who lacks self-esteem, even when you look at them, you will know them. And none of us, by the way, wants to work with people who have low self-esteem and confidence. When you go to a salon and you see a person fumbling, you will take your head away, and you'll be like, you know what? This person that acts without confidence and low self-esteem, I don't want them to be in my head. And let me tell you, there will be another one who is speaking highly of themselves, and they have zero technique. I've seen them so many times. I remember I've taken my head I've taken my head, or I've gone to a salon where I had no business going, because I saw ads on Facebook, and this person was speaking so highly of themselves, and my hairstyle lasted for as long as I was in the salon, and the moment I got out, everything was haywire. And I'd paid a lot of money. And I was like, okay, I will never go by ads, and I will never trust the first time when I see you and you're speaking so highly of yourself, if you're too confident, I will first ask, who have you worked on before? Or I will first seek to know the person that actually gives me the reference, so that I can trust that, oh, if someone else has ever used your work with you, then I can be able to work with you. So you realize that confidence takes the jobs all the time. Confidence marries all the time. You can be a man and you're the good fit, perfect fit for that woman. But the one that is confident is the one that is going to take the woman, because he's the one that can go and twink an eye, because he's the one that can take that woman on a date, and because this person trusts themselves and they express themselves. While you, who is a good person, you don't trust yourself and you cannot express yourself. Okay? So, survival for the fittest. The world is not fair, but those that are confident surely take the day. And I hope that you can be able to take the day. Be confident. You are gifted. You are, you are resilient, and you have everything it takes. Just like Fatuma, you have everything it takes for you to be confident and to be successful and to be significant. But you have to engage it, and you have to act like it, and you have to be it, and you have to walk it, you have to breathe it, and you have to just, include it in every facet of your life if you want to thrive. Low self-esteemed parents give birth to, and they nurture low self-esteemed children. People with low confidence, it's contagious. Even your children are going to be like that. But the moment you're confident, you give birth to, you train them to be confident while they're still young. So you realize that there's a lot that we can do, and I believe that confidence is one of the key traits that we need in order to win in this world. So I hope that you take it upon yourself. Go ahead and look deep into your life. Build it if you must. It's the strategy that you can build, and it's a resilience that you can build, and it's a comeback that you can build, and you can bounce back from anything. Okay? So from me to you is I love you, and I hope that you have a great time.